wanted to speak to you about some notions that I have in myself that relate to the whole topic of devotion. And I want to speak from my direct experience because I think the word devotion conjures up a lot of images, ideas. It has certain connotations. And you may have within yourself as a listener right now, like a attraction to the word devotion, or a repulsion, or a curiosity, and hopefully, as this talk unfolds, you'll get a sense of how you might refresh the way you're holding that word, or the connotations that come to mind in your being when you think of that word. Now, just like a word like consciousness, can be used on a more ordinary, day-to-day level, like, oh, I need my cup of coffee in the morning, so I can be conscious, to engage the day, and it could just be something more garden variety like that, or you could think of consciousness on a much greater scale as in universal consciousness or cosmic consciousness. And so a lot of words in our vocabulary, do double duty or triple or quadruple duty. And when I think of the word devotion, I think of it also on many different levels. And certainly I think it's more common to think of devotion in terms of devotion to a sense of a deity or a God. But there's also the very act of expressing in a devoted way. It's a way of orienting within ourselves. It's a way of gathering our attention, our time, our investment. It's a way of focusing our presence and really attuning to something very particular. And it could be the very thing that drew you to listen to this talk this evening. Something that just calls you to gather your attention into a more attuned state of being that is receptive, and that in particular is interested in a greater sense of depth. Now, people can express devoted behavior in all kinds of arenas. You can have a devoted friend, a devoted pet, a devoted partner. You can be devoted to a given discipline. You could be a devoted patron of the arts, for example, or any given field of study. But there's also a way that, as practitioners, in this case, on a path of self-realization, there can be a kind of devotion as students to the truth and to how we might approach things, this discovery of truth through our practices. And so, in large part, devotion is an attitude of being. It's a way of leaning in and being oriented toward the expression of wholeness. Now, many of you are familiar with the term yoga and how it's translated into English as the word union. And there's all different kinds of yoga aside from the exercises of hatha yoga. And there's a kind of attitude in this word yoga or union, which is really this attitude of being receptive to joining our attention, our hearts, our beings, really our consciousness, with a particular object of devotion. Now, I'm not speaking of idol worshiping or things like that, but it could be something, very simple, just like, our pet, let's say a dog, is devoted to its owner, or it's to its dog bowl or to its dog leash. There's that kind of one pointed focus of attention, and it's fairly unwavering in the canine species. So they have much to teach us about what it is to truly be in touch with what's near and dear to us and deeply important, so that we might give our attention to that. Because what we give our attention to really grows and flourishes and comes alive in our lives, and that's the amazing power of our attention and our presence.